Hi, Kenny. Once again, such a pleasure to get to spend time with your creative work. I really enjoyed, um, just an additional layer of getting to know your voice. So thank you so much for spending time with these prompts this week. Um, in terms of one nervous class, let's start there. I think one of your questions had to do with using the Spanish words, and it definitely indicated to me that you were, that you were in a Spanish class. So yes, that worked. Let me see what your other one was. Did you get an image of the class, or could there have been more details to paint a clear picture? I did get an image of the class. I will say, from the first stanza, I got an image of, um, the students themselves, the fact that they're, were maybe about 15 or 20. It was a full class. The second stanza, I got a sense of what it smelled like. Um, the third, I got a sense of sort of the atmosphere of fear in the room, hesitation, fear, anxiousness. Um, this one sort of gave me a sense, it just sort of heightened that, the idea of the sweat permeating the room. Um, and then this last one sort of brought it back just to yourself as an individual in the classroom. So that's how I interpreted the class, based on your descriptions. I'll say I really liked that you included two words of Spanish in here. I don't think you need the translation necessarily. Although I would say that this first one is just a little bit awkward, because the way that it would be structured in Spanish would be la mesa de los estudiantes, right? The table of the students rather than the students' table. But I think it's okay to have that awkwardness here since you're talking about a Spanish exam. But I would be very careful with your grammar. So I would say apostrophe S if you're talking about, or S apostrophe if you want this to be grammatically correct, because it's the students table, apostrophe S or S apostrophe, single student or multiple student. I think that would kind of clear that line up. And then when you say I couldn't hear a la pluma, you're saying I couldn't hear a the pen. So you could either change that to I couldn't hear la pluma, or you could change that to I couldn't hear una pluma, and that would make this grammatically correct. So I would just be careful about that moving forward. Um, I really liked I really liked this poem that you wrote, The Stronghold Family Ties, and I had never read The Things My Brother Will Do Today, so I was very grateful to be introduced to that poem too through your work. Do I find it easier to mimic a poem, or is it easier to create my own? I think it depends. I think I like to play around with so many different writing prompts and tools in my own work. And so I like to experiment. So, in the ways that somebody else's poem can give me an opportunity to experiment with a form that I might not have tried myself. I find that playful and fun to do. And then there are times when I like to just sit down and write my own work and not worry about what anybody else has to say. So, can go either way for me. Will my poem still flow if I were to remove but from each line? So I noticed that there's like two lines that end with the word but, and I'm wondering if perhaps there were more than that, or if you really just meant these two instances of but. I will say it was not distracting to me moving through. He may be a caring, handsome, smart young man, but he's not an adult to me, nor will he ever be. Um, but I think it's always a good idea to go through your poems and go ahead and cut any of the words that you think may be dead weight, maybe weighing down um, the rest of the images in the poem. So you should feel free to go through and cut if you think that could help. I really like the repetition of we in the middle of the poem. And it was a pleasure to read your work again. Thank you so much.